Glenn Nelson. In 1983 and 1986, two 15-year-old girls, Linda Mann and Dawn Ashworth, were found raped and strangled. 17-year-old Richard Buckland was suspected of their murders. Everyone in this room has heard of the use of DNA fingerprinting to identify victims such as those in the Boeing 7037 MAX crashes from CNN. DNA fingerprinting is reliable. To start off, I'll talk about how it was misused when it was first introduced. Then I'll talk about how it is used today. And finally, I'll talk about why it should be used. First, I'm going to talk about how it was misused. DNA fingerprinting was first misused when it was introduced to the public in courts. This misuse is on the technicians as well as the scientists who conducted the test. And according to Brandon Garrett, the L. Neil Williams Jr. Professor of Law at Duke Law, in the Crime Lab in the Age of the Genetic Panopticon, published April of 2017, stated that backlogging in labs led some of the scientists to dry lab, which is when they publish results for a DNA sample without actually ever conducting a test. And because of this specific misuse, multiple changes have been made to procedures and policies to prevent it from happening again. Some other changes made to things is labs were made completely independent from police stations. All employees are to be scientists, and the chain of command was changed so that scientists are in control of everything in the lab. These misuses were brought to light by two attorneys, Neufeld and Scheck. They were first introduced to DNA evidence in a rape case against Marion Coakley. They were very skeptical of DNA evidence and its actual reliability, so when they had the opportunity to go to a symposium that talked about the problems in the DNA testing techniques, they went. And according to Robert Norris, an assistant professor in the Department of Criminology and Law and Society at George Mason University, in Exonerated: A History of the Innocence Movement, published in August of 2017, stated that one of the speakers, Michael Baird, a scientist at the private DNA testing company LifeCodes, admitted to his audience that when he was comparing DNA, he didn't always call a match if it was 100%. If it was a little off, he'd call a match. And these misuses led to a movement in regulation in labs, which makes DNA results today more reliable. Today's use of DNA is more reliable than it was when it was first introduced. But DNA today is only used as a last resort, because the amount of DNA needed to actually be able to make a proper profile that can be put into CODIS, the database, is larger than you typically found at a crime scene. And according to Nature Publishing Group, an international weekly journal of science that has been publishing since 1869 in DNA Justice, published in March of 2017, stated that without having another sample to compare DNA to, all that you can get from the DNA is characteristics, which aren't always necessarily matched up to the person the DNA came from. And now, knowing how it is used today, we are going to talk about why it should be used. It is a powerful resource that can do a lot for us. It can exonerate or convict someone of a crime. And according to Palaj Kumar Bose, an associate professor in the Department of Forensic Medicine at Annam Medical College, and Mohammed Jubaidal Kabir, an associate professor in the Department of Forensic Medicine at Mono Medical College, in the Journal of Annam Medical College, published in January of 2017, stated that without having access to DNA testing, there have been many wrongful convictions. George Rodriguez was wrongfully convicted of a kidnapping and served 18 years of a 60-year sentence. In Josiah Sutton's case, he was wrongfully convicted of a crime after tests that were run were done incorrectly. Since then, both have been exonerated and cleared of all charges. First, I talked about how it was misused when it was first introduced. Second, I talked about how it is used today. Third, I talked about why it should be used. And DNA fingerprinting is reliable. And thanks to DNA fingerprinting, Linda Mann and Dawn Ashworth's murder was found to be Colin Pitchfork and not Richard Buckland, saving Richard Buckland from a wrongful conviction.